Greetings, my friends, and welcome to my humble abode of spine-chilling tales. Tonight we delve into the unsettling world where our beloved animal companions become harbingers of fear, where furry paws tread the path of the paranormal. Prepare yourselves, dear viewers, for we are about to embark on a journey into the heart of pet horror. I, Mr. Storyteller, will be your guide through the darkness, sharing tales that will make you question the true nature of our animal companions. Subscribe now and join me every week as we explore the mysteries of the unknown. Turn off the lights, gather close, and let the shivers commence. The old Victorian house creaked and groaned under a starless night, a fitting backdrop for the unsettling events that unfolded within its shadowed halls. Our story begins with a young woman named Eleanor, a lover of all creatures, who found a stray cat with emerald green eyes on a night much like this. She named him Midnight, for his coat was as black as the night he chose to grace her doorstep. At first, Midnight was a source of comfort, a furry companion in the drafty old house. But soon his presence became unsettling. Objects began to move mysteriously, a dropped vase here, a shattered picture frame there. Eleanor initially dismissed these occurrences as mere accidents, but as the incidents escalated, so did her unease. One night, Eleanor awoke to the sound of her own name whispered on the wind, a cold breath against her ear. Sitting at the foot of her bed, eyes glowing with an eerie luminescence, was Midnight. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced her heart. This was no ordinary cat. Days turned into weeks, each night marked by increasingly disturbing events. Footsteps echoed in the dead of night, disembodied whispers slithered through the halls, and always Midnight was there, a silent witness with eyes that seemed to hold ancient secrets. Eleanor, driven to the brink of madness, sought answers in the local library, poring over dusty tomes and forgotten lore. She discovered a chilling legend. A former resident of the house, a practitioner of the dark arts, had been said to channel spirits through his black cat. Armed with this unsettling knowledge, Eleanor realized that Midnight was not possessed, but rather a conduit, a vessel through which something sinister was seeping into her world. The house, she realized with a growing sense of dread, was haunted, and she was trapped within its grip. Desperate, Eleanor decided to confront the entity that plagued her home. She stood in the heart of the house where the energy felt thickest and spoke into the darkness. "Leave this place," she commanded, her voice trembling but resolute. "You are not welcome here." The house grew deathly still. Then a slow, guttural growl resonated from the shadows, and Midnight stepped forward, his eyes blazing with an unearthly light. The air crackled with unseen energy, and Eleanor felt a presence, cold and menacing, bearing down on her. Suddenly, a gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the house into darkness. Eleanor screamed, her voice swallowed by the shadows. She could feel the entity circling her, its malice palpable. Just when she thought all hope was lost, a warmth spread through her, a comforting presence amidst the terror. When the light returned, flickering back to life, Eleanor found Midnight curled up at her feet, his eyes no longer glowing, but filled with a familiar feline serenity. The house was silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted. The entity, it seemed, was gone. From that day forward, the disturbances ceased. Midnight remained with Eleanor, a constant companion, but the eerie event served as a chilling reminder that some doors are best left unopened and some secrets are better left buried in the shadows. Our next tale takes us to the windswept shores of a remote island, where a young couple, John and Mary, sought solace in a charming cottage perched atop a weather-beaten cliff. They brought with them memories of their beloved Labrador, Charlie, who had passed away just weeks before. The cottage, though charming, held an air of melancholy, a sense of unseen eyes watching their every move. John dismissed it as grief, the lingering sadness of losing their furry friend. Mary, however, couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. One stormy night, as the wind howled like a banshee and waves crashed against the cliffs below, Mary awoke with a gasp. A cold spot settled over her, and she could feel the weight of an unseen presence in the room. Then she saw him. A spectral form materialized from the shadows, the unmistakable silhouette of their beloved Charlie. He stood by their bed, his tail wagging gently, but his eyes held a sorrowful, otherworldly glow. Mary reached out to touch him, but her hand passed right through, sending a shiver down her spine. Charlie's apparition remained for a moment longer, then faded into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. Mary, trembling with a mixture of fear and awe, woke John, who dismissed her experience as a vivid dream brought on by grief. Over the next few days, Mary saw Charlie's ghost several times, always in the dead of night, always watching over them with an unspoken sadness in his spectral eyes. John, though skeptical, couldn't deny the truth in Mary's terrified whispers, the genuine fear that gripped her heart. One evening, as John and Mary were taking a walk along the cliffs, a thick fog rolled in, blanketing the world in an eerie silence. Disoriented, they strayed from the familiar path, unaware of the danger that lurked just beyond the veil of mist. Suddenly, John lost his footing on the loose shale and tumbled over the edge of the cliff. Mary screamed, her voice lost in the swirling fog. She peered over the edge, her heart pounding in her chest, but she couldn't see him through the thick mist. Then she heard it, a bark, faint but unmistakable. It was Charlie, his voice echoing from the bottom of the ravine. Hope surged through Mary as she scrambled down a treacherous path, guided by the sound of her spectral saviour. She found John lying injured on a ledge, his fall broken by a tangle of bushes. And standing over him, his ethereal form shimmering in the fading light, was Charlie. As Mary rushed to John's side, Charlie's ghostly form turned to her, his tail wagging one last time before fading into the mist, his duty done. John's injuries, though serious, were not life-threatening. As they made their way back to the cottage, guided by rescuers alerted by Mary's cries, they knew that Charlie, even in death, had never truly left their side. He had returned to them as a guardian, a protector from the unseen dangers that lurked in the shadows. Our final tale takes us from the mist-shrouded cliffs to a bustling antique shop, crammed with forgotten relics and whispered secrets. It was here that a young man named Edward, an aspiring writer, discovered a beautiful antique cage, its silver bars tarnished with time. Inside, perched atop a worn wooden perch, was a parrot unlike any Edward had ever seen. Its feathers were as black as midnight, except for a single crimson feather above its eye, and its eyes glinted with an unnerving intelligence. The shopkeeper, a wizened old man, offered the bird to Edward for a pittance. Edward, captivated by the bird's eerie beauty, named him Edgar and brought him back to his small apartment. At first, Edgar was silent, content to observe his new surroundings with an unnerving intensity. But as the days turned into nights, Edward noticed something strange. Edgar began to speak, but not the usual parrot chatter. He would whisper words under his breath, phrases in languages Edward didn't recognize, his voice raspy and filled with a chilling cadence. Edward, initially amused, found himself increasingly disturbed by the bird's pronouncements. One night, as Edward sat at his typewriter, struggling to find inspiration for his latest horror story, Edgar began to speak again. "Heed the whispers," the bird rasped, his voice echoing with an unnatural resonance. "Beware the shadows that dance in the night." Edward, startled, turned to face the bird, his heart pounding in his chest. He tried to dismiss it as a trick of his imagination, but the words lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. As the days passed, Edgar's pronouncements grew more frequent, more insistent. He spoke of ancient curses, of forgotten rituals, of a darkness that threatened to consume all those who dared to listen. One night, Edward awoke to the sound of Edgar's voice, louder and more insistent than ever before. "The time is near," the bird screeched, his crimson eye burning like a coal. "The veil is thin. Beware the one who watches from the shadows." Edward bolted upright in bed, his heart racing. He could feel a presence in the room, a cold spot that sent shivers down his spine. He fumbled for the light switch, but the bulb flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Then he saw it, a shadow, darker than the surrounding darkness, taking shape in the corner of the room. Edward screamed, his voice raw with terror, as the shadow descended upon him. When the light returned, flickering back to life, the shadow was gone. Edward lay trembling on the floor, his mind reeling from the experience. He looked to his desk, where Edgar's cage sat empty. The door was open, the bird nowhere to be found. Edward never saw Edgar again. Some say the bird was a familiar, a servant of the darkness sent to prepare Edward for something sinister. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. Some secrets are best left buried, and some cages are meant to remain locked. And so, my friends, we come to the end of our journey into the unsettling world of pet horror. I trust you found these tales to be both chilling and thought-provoking. Remember, the creatures we welcome into our homes, those we love and cherish, may harbour secrets beyond our wildest imaginings. But fear not, dear viewers, for every shadow, no matter how dark, eventually gives way to light. And every tale, no matter how terrifying, serves as a reminder of the enduring power of the human spirit. Until next time, keep your pets close, your wits about you, and remember, the darkness is always listening. Subscribe and join me again next week when we'll delve into another collection of chilling tales.